I'm Meg. I am the current host of the Lunaris system, um, and we have dissociative identity disorder, which is formerly known as multiple personality disorder. Um, and with this, we dissociate quite a lot. In our system currently, there is, that we know of, 10, maybe 11 of us. There's still a few of us that don't really have names yet, and only a few of us have actually come out to be social as themselves. Um, I am technically part of a fragment from one of the alters who identify with the body, me and Megan. That's why I go by Meg. Me and Megan were split roughly about, I don't know, I want to say close to 10 years ago. And I have been dormant for the last 10 years. I've recently woke up back in the end of August, and Megan has since kind of hid away inside the inner world of ours, and she is now currently, we're thinking dormant. We don't really feel her much or get anything from her. Um, for those that don't know, with dissociative identity disorder, pretty much due to childhood trauma, which I can't even say depending on the trauma, because for every child, anything could be traumatic. It could be anything, because everybody's minds perceive everything differently, and what some could see as traumatic, some might just deal with. Um, but there's been a lot over the years. We really don't want to get into the trauma that we grew up with and that we've been going through pretty much most of our adult lives. Um, but yeah, waking up after 10 years was very interesting. I, was in a completely different state. I was married, but had just, apparently Megan had just separated with her husband, kids. It was a lot to take in, but I'm glad I'm awake now. Um, but yeah, as I mentioned, I am one that identifies with the body's name and the current age, but with dissociative identity disorder, I feel like I'm going around in circles. I do apologize. This is my first time making a video, and I just want to try and get as much in there as I can for this, to try and explain, because with the disorder, everybody experiences it completely different. No two systems are going to be the same, and a system is what someone with dissociative identity disorder is referred as, because with all of the different personalities, or as I like to call them, headmates, they function together as a system. They all have their roles, they all have their reason for being there. We all have different things that we enjoy. We experience everything completely different. We all have different styles, different tastes in music. We like different foods. We have different sense of smell. Um, and Up until this year, when the trauma got worse, with the ex, it was covert. We weren't diagnosed until earlier this year. We didn't even know what dissociating was, honestly, until earlier this year. So it's still been a process, especially because knowing that with this disorder, it's based on denial. It is to keep the individual safe as they grow up and they get older. So when you have a traumatic experience, or what a child would perceive as traumatic, and they cannot handle that, And when I say child, I mean like a little kid. Like usually the disorder develops. I think the ages are around between 9 and 12. Is before that is when it officially, like, I am by no means an expert, so I know by 9 or 12, all of the parts of self have come into usually one individual. But with dissociative identity disorder, due to the trauma that cannot be processed by the child's brain, um, they don't come together. So you have, um, there is no original host. There is the body who has a name, and that is the age of the body, which is what me and Megan identify with. Um, and then you have your others who develop in their own way. So they have their own names, they their own ages. In what's called our inner world, they all see themselves as different, and it can be quite odd once you become more aware of the disorder, especially for headmates who don't identify with the body. Um, but and it could take a while for them to come to terms with it as well. Sorry, I know I'm stuttering a lot. These will be a lot smoother, I'm sure, with some of the others that will be making videos, especially Toshio. Toshio and Liam, they are all about talking to others, and they're just happy to be able to. But yeah, no, so it was it's been interesting because the way it started, like, I've always had memory issues. I couldn't really recall a lot of my childhood. I remember some of the bad, but as I got older, to me now it doesn't seem like it was that bad. But then again, it could have been. I don't know. The brain, there could be things that I don't remember because each individual headmate of a system, they contain their own memories. They are not all shared memories. We can share our memories if we like, because before the disorder, with everyone being covert, that is how you manage to survive. They pretend to be, I guess I don't want to say the host, but they are the ones, they pretend to identify with the body at that time. And even after you come to terms with this disorder, there are a lot, I don't want to say most because I'm not really sure of the numbers and stuff like that, but there are a lot of systems out there who still remain covert. And then there are a lot of systems who, as they get older, they want to be more of themselves in their own aspects. So like for me, earlier this year, my amnesia started getting a lot worse. My panic attacks were getting worse. I was getting paranoid of everything. I was hearing voices. I've always had overlapping thoughts constantly, and I always was told and just assumed that it was just my own thoughts, and that I just couldn't keep my thoughts under control, and it was just going and going and going, even though I wasn't sure where a lot of the thoughts were coming from. And some of them didn't even relate to anything, and some of them just, they didn't seem like mine, but they had to be, right? um and I didn't know what dissociating was, so I just, every time somebody would, like, snap me to, I'm just like, oh, sorry. I'm like, my mind's just a little out of it. I'm zoning out a lot, stuff like that. And they're like, oh no, that's, you should look into this. It's called dissociating. So I did some research on it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Um, and then, well, I guess I shouldn't say me. It was technically the other Megan. Um, I said that she was going dormant. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if we are integrating back together, or if I'm just, now that I am awake again, if I am just kind of getting the memories that she had, which I don't have all of them. I have enough to, I guess, get me by from the last 10 years to make it seem believable. Like, oh, I just don't remember a lot, something like that, to make it believable that it was me and not somebody else. Um, but no, so I guess I should be saying Megan. She started having moments of people telling her, she would, when something would happen, and she would have no memory of it whatsoever, and memories of arguments that she had been in, and she would just break down crying because she had no memory of it. And she was very timid, very, very shy person. She could be outgoing with friends, depending, but because a lot of the stuff that we've been through, me and her are both people pleasers, and that's not good, but I'm trying to break out of that. Um, and it just, it was hard. It was very hard. And she slowly, after, seeking out professional help and um, getting diagnosis, it was a relief, but at the same time, it instilled so much more fear in her because of all of the bad stigma around dissociative identity disorder. So she, she broke down and started doing a lot more research. I am still doing so much research, but after waking up, like I do have a lot of the memories of her doing research as well as some of our other headmates. But I am still currently doing my own because it's, like I said, it's different for everybody, and we can experience a lot of similarities, like the time blindness. I have heard tell from a lot of other systems that they have the same issue, as well as some of the, I guess, funnier stuff. Uh, just waking up and, oh, there's food suddenly in front of me. I was cooking and there's food. I didn't cook this. I didn't want this. But um, it it is a debilitating disorder at a lot of points. You can, still function. You can still have a job and a family. It's not easy. It's really not, especially at work. Just today, on my shift, I had a 5-hour shift, and I was dissociating so badly today, and it was causing migraines so severely, and um, not the best thing when you're in a fast-paced, work environment, but um, it can be managed. My headmates, they do know of our work. They do know that it needs to be done. So there are a few that if something happens and I can't, they will step in and do it. Liam, one of our older teenage headmates, he recently attempted to. He wanted to help out, said he wanted to work. So he worked for us. I think it was Saturday evening, and um, he still goes on about how he doesn't know I can handle it because he doesn't understand how I can be so fast at my job because he's not as fast as I am with it, but he does good. He does really good. Um, Within a system, um, there could be so many different roles. I can't get into all of them because I don't know all of them. I know the ones that I currently have. I've got a primary protector. Um, I have a two persecutors. Both are working to getting better. One in particular, he really is. It's hard for him, but he's doing really good. The other is a slow process. She doesn't really like me a lot, and she still talks very negatively inwardly to me. Um, we have gotten to a point now that we are out of the severe bad environment that we had been in. We have gotten to a point where we can somewhat communicate with each other better, so it's not just having to leave notes around and praying that somebody will see it, because we have journals and sticky notes everywhere, um, that we were trying to write back and forth with each other in, so we could try and get to know each other and stuff like that. Um, I'm still not the greatest at seeing them internally, but I can usually feel like through an emotion, um, who is close to what's called the front. Um, so the front is like right now I am fronting in the body. Um, and Toshio is close by. He is co-conscious, so he is aware of what I'm doing and what's going on, because he was the one who originally wanted to do this. So I'm sure he's going to be making a video as well. Um, and yeah, I guess that's all I got to say for the moment. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. We will do our best to answer any and all questions. Um, because, like I said, every system experiences things completely different. There are no two systems that are exactly the same. So, what things that we experience could be completely different from another person who has dissociative identity disorder. Um, whereas, even if there is similarities, they're not all going to be identical. Um, but yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking to do this, but it was fun. So, yeah, bye for now.